extraordinary linkage between the feminine and masculine elements. The brain and the genitals are two vital sources of energy in the human body. Their respective roles in governing the functions of the body are similar to those of the Geo-North Pole and the Geo-South Pole in regulating the gravitational motion and the natural structure of the Earth. The brain controls the nervous system and is the source of clinical consciousness in the body and mind. The lower pole, the genital organ, is also empowered with biomagnetic and bioelectrical energy. Its proper functioning is responsible for the normal maintenance of ligaments and hormones too. Any deficiency or disturbance of the brain functions might trigger insanity or paralyze the body. Equally importantly, any damage or adulteration in the seeds of Kam in the Mooladhara would disrupt all endocrine operations and the biochemical and physiological processes driven by them. Healthy state and optimally balanced utilization of both together are required for auto-regulation of the overall functions of the body and mind, ranging from metabolism to psychological vigor and creativity. The importance of brain and its proper control is well known, and the latter is commonly attempted by everybody by means of calmness, positive thinking, sound sleep, recreational activities, etc. However, little or almost no attention is paid for protecting the genitals from overexcitation, frictions and unusual and wasteful secretions. Nature has protected the brain in the hard and strong covering of the skull. Only the acceptance of internal, from one's own body and mind, effects and transmission of conscious bioelectrical signals are allowed from this precious organ. Thoughts and emotions influence its functioning. The brain and the mind control the functioning of the gross body and shape the course of one's life too. One therefore needs to endeavor cultivating and maintaining the healthy functioning and excelling of the brain and eminent trenchancy of the mind. Learning, deep knowledge, constructive thinking, mental creativity, etc. are practiced for this purpose. Allowing the mind to remain agile, to adopt unauspicious, immoral thinking, or to follow the durbuddhi, in other words, means ruining all possibilities of refinement and progress, obscuring the future forever and slipping on the adverse path of steep decline. The brain is regarded as the core of individual consciousness and the soul experience. The Brahmarandhras, the inlets of the extrasensory energy center Sahasrara, chakra, in the human brain are likened in the Puranas to the Kshirasagara where Lord Vishnu is consecrated. This chakra is the source of all the natural and supernatural powers and talents. Because the sublime channels of the Brahmarandhras enable cosmic transmission and divine communication, the brain is also referred as the upper pole of the human body. The counterpart of the upper pole is no less important. This center, the lower pole, at the genital organ is not created only for excretion or for dirty, lustful indulgence. Rather, it has been endowed, in the seed form, with enormous potentials of vigor and vitality. This part of the body has been provided with the soft and protective surroundings of the thighs and the belly to suit its delicacy. By this fine arrangement, the nature conveys that this tender and sensitive organ should be used with special care and caution. This pole serves the multiple purposes of absorbing and balancing the bioelectrical impulses of the brain and creating appropriate biomagnetic currents, along with filtering out the harmful waste from the body. The sublime energy nucleus, Mooladhara, of this pole is the source of youthfulness, charm, humor, zeal, creativity, activity and longevity. Physical friction or stimulation of the sex organs should be avoided maximally in order to maintain the natural powers of this pole. This pole, and hence the genital organ, should also be given due care and respect vis the brain. The prana of the masculine sex and the rai of the feminine sex are respectively like the potential and kinetic forms of the vital energy. Their latent powers are also referred in the spiritual literature as Agni and Soma. The physical manifestation of these opposite powers generates the positive and negative bioelectrical currents. The mutual complementarity of their psychological manifestations is remarkable in human life. The somewhat abnormal development of the personality of a man or a woman who has never had any familial or social contact, encounter with any woman or man, easily demonstrates this effect. This mutual psychological dependence is indeed the key to a successful married life. The married couples should realize its importance and avoid misusing its power in unrestrained sexual indulgence. The description about several wives of Lord Krishna or the 5 husbands of Draupadi and similar other stories cited in the ancient scriptures are often subjected to derogatory criticism by the sociologists and other intellectuals of our times. It should be noted here that the said characters are allegorical. They depict different spiritual powers and not the mortal human beings. Even if one tries to see these characters as historical figures, then she should note that they belong to the society of yore where everybody was spiritually awakened, and hence the material or bodily pleasures or physical relations or desires naturally had no place in their lives. In medieval and modern history, one finds existence of some social customs allowing a man to have several wives. For example, it became common in some parts of Germany after the World Wars because the drastic fall in the number of young men as compared to that of the women. The brothers of family used to have a common wife, usually the lady married to eldest brothers, in some villages near the Himalayan valley of Dehradun, until a few decades ago. It should be noted that such systems are local and are the results of peculiar socio-political or geographical circumstances, for example, sharp reduction in the male population during the wars or high mortality of women and children during an epidemic, etc. Such arrangements, customs are viable and acceptable to the human society only till the causes of their origin remain alive, or till the sacred relation of husband and wife is kept away from carnal lust. It should be remembered again that it is the illicit lust, the concupiscence, the erogenous desire that is bad and corrupts the dignity and healthy normalcy of the association, relationship or interaction between man and woman. The erotic attitude would anyway be dangerous, from medical point of view as well, even for the faithful pairs of one man one woman as husband and wife. The customs of polygamy and polyandry are therefore bound to fade away in any society in due course of time. Compatibility and discipline in sex relation. Biological contact between the two sexes involves the flow of their mutual vital energies from higher levels to the lower ones. Thus, apart from the obvious danger of the contagious effects, the sexual intercourse also amounts to the lowering of the mental and spiritual abilities of the better partner in the pair. It is therefore advisable that the criteria for matching between a pair of would-be husband and wife be mainly based on the mutual compatibility of their cultural, psychological and spiritual levels and vital energies instead of a mere comparison between the physical looks and or social status. People with strong willpower, vigor and extraordinary mental faculties and talents should be more careful about preserving their vital energies because they are more likely to lose them by, naturally, transmitting them to their counterparts during a sexual intercourse. Even for a perfect, with respect to the mutual compatibilities of the vital energies, pair, as mentioned earlier, a sexual contact would always account for a loss in the physical as well as the subtle form of the vital energies, pran, of both the individuals. Obvious consequences of this loss include reduction in brilliance, memory, intelligence, liveliness, stability, decision-making and firmness of mind, immunity, other physical abilities and health in general. Sexual indulgence should therefore be kept to a minimum. Sexual excitation or erotic feelings are likely to attack everyone in today's undisciplined and morally polluted atmosphere. However, those with good self-control and sincere faith in the moral values would not find it difficult to get rid of these by instantaneous diversion of mind and determined efforts to prevent the recurrence of such possibilities. When the addiction of alcohol and narcotics could be gotten rid of, there is no reason why the intoxicating lure of sensuality couldn't be pacified and remolded. Under no circumstances should a sexual intercourse occur without the willingness and healthy status of mind and body of both the partners. Any kind of imbalance or abnormality in this activity affects the nervous system negatively. The common psychosomatic diseases like insomnia, migraine, epilepsy, forgetfulness, hysteria, whimsical or short-tempered mind, etc., as well as some diseases pertaining to various kinds of cardiac malfunctioning are among some minor manifestations of such imbalances. It should always be emphasized that the spiritual component, the latent energy of the sex element, is more important than the contact of the genital organs in making the married life contented and happy. Practicing purity of thoughts and sentiments, dedicating efforts towards the improvement of each other's overall personality, mutual trust and friendly cooperation, with healthy humor and entertainment are necessary for the nurturing of love and affection between the life partners. The physical, mental and spiritual health of a child depends largely on the healthy and harmonious coupling of the vital energies of her parents. A mismatch in this regard may at times result in contagious diseases or abnormalities in the offspring. Birth of a child is indeed an important event in the lives of the parents, and preparation for its occurrence should begin only after a conscious decision by both the parents at an appropriate time during their disciplined married life. Along with the consideration of all the worldly consequences and duties, a thorough self-analysis by the foresighted parents is a must whenever they plan to have an offspring. Sexual intercourse should preferably be performed as a scientific experiment towards reproduction after such preparations. A determined and faithful effort in this regard would definitely bless the parents with a virtuous, trenchant, healthy baby as per their plans. Constructive use of the bioelectrical effects of calm. In the views of physiologists and psychologists, the association between two men or two women is not so effective in arousal and development of otherwise dormant potentials as that of a man and a woman. Healthy alliance and mutually beneficial support between a compatible pair of man and woman is the main spirit behind marriage. Husband and wife, living together as good friends, sharing the joys and responsibilities with mutual encouragement and enthusiasm would erect a fulfilling life, supplementing the psychological and inner incompleteness of each other, even without having any sexual intercourse. It is difficult to decipher what mystery lies behind the incompleteness of a human being, that she often feels so happy and encouraged in the company of the opposite sex. The intimacy and mutual trust of the husband and wife for each other induces a rare sense of confidence, certainty and satisfaction in life, which cannot be experienced by a single man or woman despite possessing enough wealth and power. The invisible emptiness of lonely life is removed by getting a life partner after marriage. The feeling that the latter would understand and offer amicable support at every step of life exalts one's self-confidence and mental peace in married life. Thus, apart from offering the possibility of sublime power generation by absolute association with the opposite sex, marriage also effectuates a strong psychological boost, which enhances the hope and chance for a brighter future in one's life. Physical attraction and intimacy, or sexual indulgence, is of no significance in the married life. Although there is nothing wrong in having it within the norms of propriety and sanctity of the marriage institution, it should not be mistaken as a must. By all measures of wisdom and sane maturity, erotic attraction can never be the basis of love and happy married life. Many young boys and girls today go for the looks and physical charm while selecting a bride or a bridegroom. Little do they realize that the glaze of beauty is not long-lasting, neither is the attraction towards it stable. The agile and flirt mind could always be pulled by someone more glamorous and charming. The radiance of complexion or shape and looks of features and fitness of body could certainly be appreciated. These may be important in show business, movies and theaters. However, these have no significant role to play in the success and the fulfilling joy of marriage. The latter depends upon mutual understanding and cultural, psychological and emotional compatibility. The depths of sentiments, the morality and authenticity of deeds and character of a person do not depend upon his or her physical appearance. There could be a witch's heart in the silvery beauty of a prostitute. A sober-looking, handsome actor of a play could be a beastly man in reality. Whereas, an ugly man like Chanakya could be an eminent thinker and a visionary. A physically deformed Ashtavakra could be a great yogi. A most ordinary, dark-skinned girl could be all-talented and kind-hearted like Draupadi. We do come across with several such examples in our surroundings too. We have to be cautious and thoughtful in selecting our friends and allies at schools, at work, in every walk of life. Then, how could we let ourselves cheated by the illusion of the eyes, in making such an important decision like marriage? Not only physical appearance, the high academic achievements, musical voice and other talents could also at times be the only qualities of a person. But these alone could not be the criteria for one being the most suitable husband or wife. Physical beauty and charm is often assumed to be necessary for satisfactory sex and joyous sustenance of married life. This again is illusory. Scientifically speaking, sexual intercourse is a process of reversion of the bioelectrical energies of the interacting bodies. The genital is the source of this electricity, which is generated as soon as this organ is stimulated by the contact of the oppositely charged counterpart. The attraction between the two opposite charges is responsible for the feeling of physical satisfaction during sexual activity. This enjoyment is more in the young bodies because of the excess of vital energy, pran, at that age. People should think twice before getting driven by concupiscence, that it is like a slow poison. Copulation gives nothing except a momentary titillation to the excited genitals and consumes and dissipates lot of precious vital energy. A couple should develop a healthy attitude and have sex carefully and under specific norms, for example, only for the purpose of having a child with mutual consent. Having sex despite the unwillingness of the partner is a rape, even if happens between a husband and a wife. It is more pernicious in terms of the subtle disturbances and degradation of vitality at the psychological and spiritual levels as well. The coupling and reaction of the sex elements leads to the reversing flow of the bioelectric currents of Pran and Rai or Agni and Soma. This process involves the mutual transfer of the more powerful virtues as well as the evils of the involved individuals. It is therefore necessary to perform such interactions scientifically with due care. Needless to say that the subtle effects of such contacts with characterless, lustful persons are far more disastrous than the obvious physical, for example, infection and social harms. The process of generation and absorption of vital currents by the conjugation of Agni and Soma is quite subtle. While those trapped in the crafty amour of the prostitutes lose their vital energy, the latter consume it skillfully. This is how they maintain their charm and smartness despite having excessive sex, living in a condition in which an ordinary, married woman might fall ill and even die untimely. The prostitutes, being experts in the latent art of sex, know how to squeeze the vital element of calm from the vigorous clients and how to tactfully protect their own vital energy from the weak and diseased ones. The bioelectrical flow in the physical body is at its peak in the youths. However, this is not all. The body energy is insignificant as compared to the real reservoir of Pran, vital spiritual energy, and its bioelectrical power endowed in one's brain and heart. A physically stout and good-looking fellow would prove to be infirm in many respects, if he lacks in mental strength and willpower. An elderly person or a physically weaker and ugly man or woman, on the contrary, could be full of prana and excellent mental foundation and inner character. It is this sublime source of prana that is protected, refined and empowered by the disciplines of Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is recommended for people of all ages, of all physical, mental and spiritual status. It is of paramount importance for those endowed with greater vigor, mental trenchantcy and spiritual power, as they are at a greater risk of losing their vital energy, prana, to the lower levels of their partners in the process of sex. Man and woman could offer maximum benefit to each other in married life by elevated levels of their prana, if they both follow Brahmacharya. This is what is worth the value of Kama hidden in their sex elements. The joy of the carnal process of sex is negligible and far inferior against the blissful support, strength and radiance offered by intimate association of a couple in the shelter of Brahmacharya. Continence in reproduction is good for the parents and the children both. Impotency, barren uterus and high risk of abortions or dead babies are common consequences of lewdness. Licentious parents can only produce weak, mentally dumb or underdeveloped offspring. The vitality of the sperm and ovum is required for reproduction of stout, healthy and mentally sharp progeny. This vigor of the sex elements could be achieved only through elevated levels of prana preserved by self-restraint. The married couples should practice sex as a scientific experiment to be performed after due preparation and high purpose of giving birth to a healthy, bright and mentally strong child. Sex should not be treated as a free means of vulgar entertainment and fulfillment of carnal lust. Spiritually aware and enlightened husband and wife could also cautiously have sex as an experiment of the sublime science of Kama to transmute, multiply and elevate each other's prana by transfusion of the bioelectrical currents of their mutually supplementary sex elements. Devout adoption of Brahmacharya is essential to acquire such potentials. The binding and reactions of masculine and feminine sex elements resulting in the production of a gamete is like a chemical conjugation at gross level. This also involves the exchange or fusion of the bioenergy of prana. There also exist sublime kinds of transfer, linkage, processing, or transmutation of prana that work at mental and spiritual levels. For example, by Shaktipat, a spiritually empowered noble guru may bestow his talents, strength and sagacity upon a deserving disciple. The school teachers or professors may at the most educate their students with enormous knowledge and sharpen their specific talent by training. But only spiritually elevated gurus and expert yogis can accomplish Shaktipat. Shaktipat is a process of spiritual transmission of the vital spiritual energy and vigor. Live examples of this spiritual transmutation in the modern era include Swami Ramakrishna's Shaktipat on Narendra that made the latter Vivekananda an ideal and exponent of enlightened prudence and divine bliss in human life. Shaktipat of Chanakya on Chandragupta founded the beginning of a post-Vedic golden era in India by enabling Chandragupta become a mighty emperor and the architect of a strong, united India. The bioelectrical energy currents in the body are controlled by those generated in the brain. The intensity and effectiveness of the latter actually depends upon the psychological and spiritual levels of the consciousness. Adoption of Brahmacharya, moral conduct and dedicated efforts towards the refinement and strengthening of the vigor and virtuous tendencies of the self and of the life partner could make the transfusion and mutually beneficial linkage of bioelectrical energies of sex elements as sacred and purposeful a process as that of Shaktipat. This would be like conversion of a deadly poison into a life-saving drug by rigorous refinement and sublimation by adept scientific processing in due course. The uplifted conscious levels of the parents and their determination to consider the bioelectrical interactions during copulation as a controlled scientific experiment on the transfusion of their vital energies, prana, would lead to a kind of a Shaktipat on the resulting embryo. Preparations for such an experiment would be no less than a sadhana and can't be commenced without willful continence. The conjunction of feminine and masculine energy currents of calm is a great phenomenon in nature. It is entirely in the hands of the two sexes whether to bear the detrimental consequences of sexual excitation and drainage of vigor triggered by unchecked cravings and carnal lust, or be wise and cautious to benefit from the controlled and sane, scientific utilization of this process. This will not only ensure their own good and well-being of their family, but also contribute to the welfare of the society as a whole.